Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Trep Talks. This is the show where I interview successful e commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they've used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Dmitry Peregudov to the show. Dmitry is the founder of giftbasketsoverseas.com and also Giftsenda. Giftbasketsoverseas.com offers global gift delivery in 200 plus countries worldwide. And Giftsenda is a global corporate gifting platform. And I'm going to ask a little bit more about the difference between the two during the interview. And today I'm going to ask Dmitry a few questions about his entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that he has used to start and grow his business. So Dmitry, thank you so much for joining me today at Trep Talks. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Sushant. Appreciate it.
So as we were just discussing, you have these two companies, and you're kind of describing to me, Gift. One of them is kind of like a gifting service, and the other one is a technology platform. So could you please describe the difference between the two and what services or what products are you actually offering?
Of course. So giftbasketsoverseas.com initially has been started as an e-commerce project. Basically, a web-based shopping experience was a main focus of that business. And there are several other brands under that business, but generally it's an e-commerce sales. People go on the website, buy a gift. So the main product is a gift itself. And the main purpose for people to connect with each other through a long distance. If someone lives in one country and they want to send a gift to almost any country in the world, they can go to giftbasketsoverseas.com and place an order, and that's the service they get. So there are flowers, gift baskets, chocolates, wine, and you name it, basically all kinds of gourmet gifts. Then the corporate customers also started coming in to Gift Basket Overseas, and they started sending gifts to their customers, clients, business partners, and so on, employees of different companies. So we ended up becoming also corporate on the e-commerce side. And then, eventually we realized that a number of businesses actually wanted to have a lot more gifting in their standard practice. And so a number of companies came to us and said, well, we'd love to have something that's more streamlined, that has more automation around the process of gifting. And we've learned that there are a lot of other use cases that we've not had experienced in, such as sales development, business development, and gifting is used for that, to send appreciation gifts, to send getting to know gifts, just to get to know the person that you're trying to build a business relationship with. So that's kind of led us to build a separate company, and we call it Giftsenda. And Giftsenda is basically a global gifting platform, as you mentioned, that's focusing on sales, business development, and marketing use cases, as well as customer and employee loyalty use cases, where businesses want to integrate gifting into their sales funnel or into their human resource management systems, and so on.
So that's very interesting. I definitely want to learn a little bit more about both of them, and the processes and what's available. But your products and your platform is really around physical gifts. So this has nothing to do with like gift cards.
Actually, it's interesting you're asking. We have both today, and the Gift Baskets Overseas is mostly physical, but we do have gift cards as well for those brands that we have. So you could potentially send a Gift Baskets Overseas gift card to someone over the email, and then that person would then go to our website to redeem the card. That's certainly an option, but Giftsenda is a lot more virtual in that sense. We do have gift cards from all kinds of brands. So people who want to send a gift, they don't have to choose a gift basket or a flower bouquet. They can send a gift card or a value card, stored value card, where someone can go in and redeem it anywhere in the world, actually, because there are Visa cards that are not brand specific. And there are also brand specific cards, such as, a Starbucks card or Abercrombie Fitch card, some brands, retail brands, and so on. So if you know an interest of the recipient, specifically to sports or to coffee or to anything, then you could send the gift to a specific gift card, with a specific gift card in mind. And then that person, if for some reason you made a wrong bet, our platform allows the recipient to swap the card to something else. They may swap it to another card, or they may swap it to a physical gift, say a gift basket, or maybe even to a donation gift. If they wanted to make a donation instead of accepting the gift recipient has that option as well. So there are a lot of options around types of gifts that the recipient can pick for themselves. Not only the sender is now picking the gift, but the recipient has that option as well. Of course, sender can restrict that, but many senders that send with us say like that option, and they would love the recipient to have the option to swap the gift to the one of their choice.
Oh, very nice. So before I go forward with more detailed questions on these, I want to ask you a little bit about your own story and when did you get started as an entrepreneur, and what really motivated you to get into entrepreneurship and specifically to start these companies?
Sure. Well, I immigrated from Europe back in late 90s, and I had an engineering degree, so I kind of wanted to do something, and it was engineering. So I ended up getting a little bit more into computer science and worked in a number of engineering companies and in the computer science field, and then ended up kind of building my own website to sell flowers and gifts online. And that website was mostly focusing on Eastern European delivery. That's the area where I'm from. But then eventually we ended up expanding that and built a flower business, international flower business. We called it Good Choice Flowers, and that's still around, but we don't really make that as a main effort now. And that business kind of led me to understand the consumer better, to really allowed me to polish my skills on as a business owner and an entrepreneur. And from then on, I kind of built the gift basket business. So slowly, from a tech guy who built website, I ended up being a marketing guy and eventually changing many hats to customer service, running a team of customer service people, eventually running sales teams, and kind of grew with a business, so to speak. So being a small business of one person, two people, then eventually becoming what we are today. We have over 100 people in the team at the moment.
So initially you started out kind of with a simple idea of being able to give people the ability to send like flowers or something to someone who's not in, who's in a different city or in a different country. And then from that, you basically kind of slowly grew the idea to, more products, and then eventually to creating this technology platform. So
that's correct. I just want to clarify a little bit. Early on, before I got into the point of understanding the business, I myself was a customer of similar business. Okay. So I'm originally from Russia, and I had family and I had a girlfriend in Russia. I was age 22 at the 25 at the time, and I had a girlfriend. I was sending her flowers, and the service was not very good. So I realized that there is a gap in the offering, and supply wasn't ideal. So I just understood that it was very difficult to order online back in those days, and so I built a website that was basing its service model on what was already on the market, but better. And we focused more on customer service, on convenience of ordering, and so those things that mattered a lot in the future. And that kind of gotten us to later expanding into corporate and so on. Yeah.
So giftbasketoverseas.com, what is the, I'm assuming, when you were trying to send that gift initially to your girlfriend, that was like 15, I don't want to presume that was a few years ago.
20 years.
Now, okay. Now, we are living in a very developed e-commerce ecosystem where it's very easy to order these things online. And I think I went on your website, and the thing that, or the value proposition that I kind of got out of it was you can gift it and have the product delivered within, I think, 1 or 2 or 3 days or something. And, it could be a very far away place also. Is that really the value proposition of Gift Basket overseas is, quick delivery? How do you see what's the value proposition that you're offering?
Yeah, thanks for visiting the website, and certainly that's one of the things that matters to people. They live far away and they want to impress being far away. Of course, there are a lot of services today that can do things quickly, but so you've mentioned the value proposition of being quick. That's certainly correct, but I would say that's contextual, because some people want to use us not only in one country, but in many. So someone sending a gift, let's say to India, or the same person may have friends in Austria or Australia. And then maybe, in Christmas, they may have a list of friends or colleagues or customers in or various parts of the world. So with Gift Basket services, they can do it all in under one place, and they don't have to look for local services in each country. So it's quick, not only that we're quickly able to deliver it, but also it's for the customer who can quickly order it and have a very consistent experience, and oftentimes even be able to select a very similar gift across various countries. So if you have a certain budget and you have a certain gift in mind, you don't have to get super custom and super creative. If you have several people and you just have very little time to do it, you can do it very quickly with us by doing bulk ordering. There are bulk ordering options in several countries. You can have a very clear picture of how much it's going to cost you. There's no surprises. With delivery, it's flat delivery fee that's not very high compared to what you would have paid if you sent something from here. I would say we could be compared to a local service within that country, because that's who we are, really. We deploy things locally. We have localized warehouses and partnerships that we leverage to get things done quickly. And there is no risks of things getting stuck at the border. There is no risks of a recipient having to pay taxes or duty fees to accept the gift. Those are pain points a lot of our customers have had prior to experiencing our service. And they came to us and said, well, I've sent a gift with this and that company, and then my recipient had to pay duties to accept the gift. That's very embarrassing. So we're like, wow, a lot of those stories. So yes, the world is developed, and there's a lot of localized options now, but that's also true. And that's probably what I would call the only competition I think we would have is local companies that work within a certain country. But then if you think of a global thing, that's not scalable. That's not easy for them to scale. We've scaled that model across the world. And not only that, but we also scaled the quality of service itself. And oftentimes, a local company, let's say in one particular country, say we service Zimbabwe. And the concept of service in Zimbabwe may be very different than the concept of service, let's say, in the US or Canada, where we are from, right? So people from US and Canada may have a certain expectation for the service that they expect to receive. And we scale that service across the world. So although we do work locally in Zimbabwe along with a bunch of other countries, we will raise the level of service to that of the US and Canada. And so our consumer would get that no matter where they order. And if something goes wrong, we're going to be there to make sure that it's redone to their satisfaction. And that if there's anything, if they go with a local provider, oftentimes they're not very happy, because those companies have their own standards of service that's possibly not necessarily bad, but different. And maybe they value one thing, but the consumer values something else. And we understand what our consumer values. We understand that what matters, not only the timing, how quickly it gets there, but also the presentation, also the quality of goods, and in making sure that the communication is very clear. We know when it gets delivered. We notify using a text message or email when it gets there. And if some delay happens, we also keep in touch with the customer. So our 24/7 customer service allows that to be a reality. Local service somewhere in a country locally would not be able to compare to us in that sense. So a lot of consumers don't mind to go to a company who is not truly local but global, and then get that localized experience that we can offer.
That's really interesting, because I was thinking you've been able to solve like a very complex problem of cross-border clearance. I mean, I think it's a huge pain point for a lot of e-commerce businesses right now,
It is.
sending products from one country to another. And the way you have solved this is by mostly partnering with local businesses. But to me, in 200 countries plus, that to me still seems like a pretty complex challenge of how, working with different partners and having a certain level of service expectation. How did you manage that?
Well, it took a while, right? So we've been around for 22 years, I think now. Yeah, 21 years, 22nd year now. So it's been a while. And during that time, we've perfected the system. Our supplier network had matured a lot. So we went through a lot of back and forth with some countries, and we had to sometimes even disconnect countries from our list of serviced locations because we were not happy with what they were able to provide to us, and wasn't the service our customers have come to expect. But over time, in all these locations that we service today, we had to replace a number of suppliers, and a number of logistical partners, sometimes shippers, had to be changed as well. So like this whole logistical nightmare, although it is sort of offloaded from us, but it's still our problem, because if anything goes wrong, we are responsible. So we had to go through a lot of those iterations to make sure that we're happy with all the parts, from putting the gift together, to what goes in the gift, how the gift is designed, and how it gets delivered. So we are at all of those steps very closely involved in making sure that things go well. So today we do have some countries where we have localized presence ourselves, and there are countries where it doesn't make sense for us to have our own warehouses. So we would be then working locally with other suppliers that able to deliver to our promise.
And did that mean that you had to actually visit most of these countries, or have you been working? I mean, at least the places where you have local warehouses, your own warehouses. How do you have like team that's managing it there? I mean, to me, can you share a little bit about the management? What
Sure.
does your team look like, and how do you manage actually the different parts of the world and all
Yes,
these different relationships and
of
partnerships?
course. Yeah, so basically it's a different setup depending on the country. There are countries where the local presence and the local people on the ground that are part of our sort of team, and then there are some affiliates that aren't really part of the team. So depending on the area, and some countries where shipping is well developed, then there will be like a one location that everything gets shipped out of. Then in the US, for example, there are a couple of locations from different parts of the different costs, right? Something on the west, something on the east coast. And for the speed of shipping, in Canada is a big country, so there are a few places. There's something in BC, there's something in Ontario, there's something in the middle of the country, but generally there are still very tough places to get to in Canada, right? Like Yukon and places like that, where it's not as many people, but when you get the order, it takes a while to get there. So it depends on how that works. And depending on the country, it will be a different setup. Some very popular countries will have more presence of our own people, and some countries that have less of a demand, that maybe we get a couple hundred orders in a year. Those we wouldn't have like our own internal team, but we do have affiliates that are trained to work with our designs, that are doing it. It's almost like a franchise setup, where the local provider would go according to our blueprint, and then they would develop physical products that are corresponding to our virtual representation that we've designed and put together. And then we would control the quality by doing a QA with recipients, by doing QA with partners, and by being somewhere in the middle of that process to ensure that it's satisfactory. And if it isn't, we have a very small percentage that we allow for complaints or issues. So whenever someone exceeds that level of patience, so to speak, level of complaint, then we work on rigorous replacement, and we are very quick and swift about that. So, or if we don't find a replacement, we may just kill the location for some time until we do find a replacement. So that structure is very solid. But we do have a very strong partner development team and QA team, and basically order processing team that's involved in close relationship with partners to ensure that the gift quality is at the level, and that the proper designs are maintained, and so on. So those things are very important for our end consumer, both the recipients and the senders.
And I think also a big part of your business, even for this business that we're discussing, giftbasketsoverseas.com, to me, it seems like operationally a big part of it is the software itself. I'm assuming it's proprietary software that you're able to send orders to the right partners and quickly, and they're able to process it, and everything can be tracked and so forth. Is that really the biggest I guess value that or IP that your business has as the software, and then the operations, of course, you build the partnerships, but without the software, you won't be able to operationalize it, right?
I think over time the software gotten better. It has been very simple in the beginning, and just to get from point A to point B, kind of it was like a bicycle in the beginning, and now it's probably more like like Tesla. But it did have a lot of iterations to improve. I think there's some IP in that, but I think the biggest IP on the Gift Basket Overseas is a team itself, and I think the culture of the team is very strong. Everyone works from home, everyone is remote from the office, and we've done it since day one. And I think we also have a very strong team culture because we do meet informally a lot across the world. We do those corporate trips where we basically maintain a very strong connection with people. And I think that culture, combined with the software that we've built for the people to use in a convenient fashion, I think those things together, they are the IP. I would say it's weird to talk about people as IP, but actually I think we've developed a secret sauce of how to make sure people are happy and how to make sure they are productive within the environment. But then the software, yes, it comes with it. But I think software is an enabler of the true value, which is people. On the Gift Basket Overseas side, I think software is secondary to people, but people make software better because every year we have a very iterative process to improve that software and continue building on top layer after layer. And at the end, people save time, they save seconds, minutes, hours of their time and then they feel that they are part of that creation. They feel like they are the ones who put a lot of input of how this should work, as opposed to something out of the box where they say, okay, work this way on it. No, they actually make part of that improvement from their own side. And that becomes a lot more theirs than it would have if they were just using something, I think. On the Giftsenda side, I think software is an IP as well, because Giftsenda is actually a younger team, a younger company. We only have about 12 people there now. But that team is very efficient in the way they've built the software and developed. And I think software is there right now is a focal point, but of course the team is also very strong culturally. So again, the team plus software thing works again. So I think we're repeating our success. But I think in the Gift Basket Overseas, people came first, and we didn't have much of software, and then people kind of figured out how the software should work to service customers the best. But on the Giftsenda side, I think we've developed this platform first, and with very few people, and then we started layering with people, and now we have kind of the same place, but a different angle to the same place.
So may I ask a little bit more? So was your team remote even before COVID? And
Yes.
I believe you said that your culture or your team, you found like the secret sauce of keeping people happy and motivated and productive and so forth. How did you come to that secret sauce, or can you share a little bit of what it is that that enables that culture?
Well, it's a secret, right? I'm just joking. Okay, so but actually, in reality, the what we've learned over time is that in the structures that we have, we were remote from day one, and COVID didn't change much of that, except we gotten like 2 times bigger in the size because we gotten very busy in COVID, and we grew like crazy without particular planning to grow. We just sort of grew. Market took us there. Like for many e-commerce companies, this was probably the case, but we were riding the wave, so to speak. But I think the culture part has been a big part of that, because once you have the right group of people in the very beginning, and these people are motivated to do well, then the new people that join, they are like-minded and they share the same values. So we figured out we have certain values as a team when we were much smaller. We were about 30 people or so, size 25, 30 people. And at that time, we kind of got together and somewhere in Cyprus, I think. We had a corporate trip, and we, back in 2016 it was, I think, and we kind of gotten together and figured out, who are we as people? What do we care about? What are the things we as humans value, individually and collectively? And we've written them down, and we figured out, okay, we care about flexibility, so we like to work from home, we like to figure out our schedules, we like to have flexibility of travel, so that's important, flexibility. We care about customers, so customers first, customer focus was very important for us. We want to like each other, and we want to work with people who like us, so respect, mutual respect. Diversity, we have a very multinational team. We have people from Asia, people from Latin America, people from US, Canada, Europe, all over really. And so respect for other cultures is very important for us, so we kind of look at those things. And we care about ownership a lot, so we want a person who is entrusted something to really own it and really not to drop the ball. So those things we kind of written down, and we kind of figured that we care about them. And we also figured out that we're going forward to not just delivering gifts, but connecting people. So we understood that we care about creating that connection, as opposed to just sending, clicking buttons, sending emails, or, arranging gifts delivery or sending baskets, right? We want to be a human connector. We want to be helping a person in country like Canada, sending a gift to a person somewhere, maybe far away in Europe or Asia. And by doing so, by sending a gift, we enable that. So once we realize that it's not just about sending gifts, but it's much bigger purpose, it's about building relationships, then I think the culture became much more meaningful. It wasn't just about a bunch of friends or colleagues, having a good time, clicking buttons, but it was about us driving towards something much more important. And there was this study, in Harvard that they did, I think, back in the early 2000s, where the study is actually 100 years old, when they were measuring happiness of people over 100 years. And they were looking at income, race, past experience, education, all kinds of things, right? They were looked at by multiple variables. And the only thing that really stand out from that study is that people who were the happiest, not the ones who had the most money, not the ones who had the best jobs, but the people who actually were the most connected with their friends, family, and that's not always mean local connection. That doesn't always mean someone that they going to school with, like right there on the backyard, but it may be someone very far away. Maybe it's someone that they're still talking to. So once we realized how important it is, so those people were healthier, happier, and they lived the longest out of all the people in the study. Okay, so if you think about it that way, our gifts help people to stay connected, and we think by definition they help them to stay healthier and happier and live longer. So once we think that we are part of that big thing, it's much more meaningful to do this job.
Definitely. So I'll come back to that question of competition again. So, now if I want to send a gift to someone, let's say, my family is in India, for example, how do, since you've created this business, I'm assuming there are competitors in the market that are offering some sort of similar services, or, can I just go to like an India-based website of gifting company and basically select a gift through that website and, just put the address of the person in India and ship it out? So how has your business, like being able to withstand this competitive landscape where now people have more and more options, and not just more and more options, there's like people can create their own gift packages and so forth. Somebody can go on Amazon and select a few items and just, gift them out and things like that. Has this really impacted your business, or you have been able to continue growing your business consistently over time? Or was that one of the reasons why you kind of pivoted towards more of this, technology-based, Giftsenda kind of a business model?
Sure, good question. So we've grown organically, up to probably last year. Well, pre-COVID, we've grown organically. It wasn't very fast, but it was, good 10-15% a year in the last, few years prior to COVID. In the COVID, we more than doubled. I think we've grown 2.5 times. So we went very rapidly up, peaking somewhere around 2022, the last year. We had scaled down a bit since, because e-commerce, then people started traveling a lot. So a lot of times when people haven't traveled during the COVID, they used gift baskets as a means to connect with loved ones a lot more often than they would have normally. So the new normal had changed, so we've scaled down since, but we have not scaled down all the way back to pre-COVID. So it's a bit lower than in the peak, but we're still very busy, relatively speaking. And as for the competition, I think there were some competitors who actually died during COVID because they couldn't sustain, themselves. They didn't have the right model for COVID, because they were more physical than virtual, and they were sort of more focusing on the local market, and that was sort of closed in many places. We had some countries that were closed more than others, like China was difficult sometimes, and some other countries were more difficult than others. But generally, we didn't really close the doors ever. We actually been much more busy than the opposite. So I believe we actually gained some market share during the COVID. Well, since then, of course, there were some new entrants to the market, and there were some competition from local shops. I believe that's still going to be the case, and there's nothing new in that. I believe that competition has its merits, and it will always be there to some degree. But I haven't yet found a notable competitor in the space who was able to repeat our success on a global level. And there were some countries that, we may lose some number of orders time to time, and we'll gain again some other year. But globally, we've been growing very steadily and comfortably. Organically, I would say, for the most part, we've not really overinvested, but we've not underinvested either. I think we've been growing well. Could we grow faster? We probably could, but I believe the way to do it is through Giftsenda, and Giftsenda is a more it's a different market. It's a different way to sell what we sell, a connection between people. And I see a lot more demand on the corporate side lately that we could respond to. We also could continue working on B2C side, and we are working on that. But I also see a lot more demand on the corporate side. And a lot of our customers, they want a good solution. They want a good platform. Some of it that we offer is currently free. We have a free platform option. And some customers who want more integrations, like CRM integration into Salesforce or HubSpot, we offer integrations. for extra fee as a license, those customers can get a very reasonably priced platform licensed. But those who don't want a license, they can still use us for free as a very convenient tool for automated gifting. So I do see a lot of opportunity on a corporate side, and that's why Giftsenda is sort of a parallel company that has its own resources and is not just another project that we have. It's a very big separate effort that we invest into and have received investments for.
And you said that Giftsenda has a team of about still 12 people or so. When you started that developing the product, the whole agile product development life cycle, I don't know if you're using agile or different methodology. At what point did you actually start going out and pitching this product to businesses? And when did you actually get the first customer?
Sure. Well, we had some customers who were sort of in a queue, waiting for a platform when we were working on it. So we had a couple who joined right after we built the software. So it took us about a year to get to a comfortable place where we could say that this is a decent prototype that can be functional. Well, prototype we had earlier, but like something we were not shy to share. It took us about a year, I would say. So I think year 2022, last year, we've launched like a production version, and a couple of customers joined that platform fairly quickly. We didn't really feel like charging them a lot for it. We did a pilot with them, and they were pretty happy. And then later, more customers have joined. Giftsenda is still pretty small, but it has been growing. And lately, with our newest offering, the free platform that we recently added a free platform version that is somewhat less featured, but still very, very usable, and a lot of people love it. So we're seeing a lot more influx of customers since then. Were we agile? Yeah, I think we were mostly agile, but we didn't formally call it that way. But yes, methodology was closer to that. Yes.
Yeah, I think agile is different in different companies. Like every company has its own way of doing agile.
A flavor.
Yeah. How do you have a sales team that actually is going out and targeting businesses and pitching this product? How are you acquiring customers specifically for like Giftsenda, this software product?
So it's a combination of things. We obviously have some outreach campaign around LinkedIn with certain positions, certain companies who are in the right place for us to target, and we do that. But outside of it, we are fairly inbound for the most part. So we have a very strong marketing team that is building lead generation engine, and we've done pretty well there. We're being easier and easier to find on all the search engines. So a lot more visibility is from there, and so the inbound leads are a lot easier to work with. Of course, they have a decent conversion compared to something we would get outbound. Some conferences help. Connections there, build relationships, and of course we use Giftsenda to build Giftsenda. So when we do get a good customer, oftentimes or a good lead who is potentially a customer, we might develop that with Giftsenda gifts. And sometimes there are opportunities, we send it to a cold list and number of people who want to have a conversation about Giftsenda platform. We would send them gifts to start that conversation. So Giftsenda is used to develop relationship with Giftsenda future customers.
Wow, that's really awesome. What's coming to my mind, as you're sharing all these different things, is how do you manage all these things? Because it seems like there's so many different things. You're managing like these 2 or 3 different gifting websites, and then you have like this software platform. What are you responsible for, and how do you manage all these different aspects of your business overall?
Yes, early on that was a big challenge because I was basically in charge of everything, and with my focus initially being tech, software side, and also marketing, I was mostly focusing on those areas and then kind of managing other teams. But as company grown from the size of 20, 30 people to a size of 50 and eventually larger, I was no longer able to maintain that and do it well. So I started building a management structure under me that was efficient, and a lot of people who were with the company for some time, they took that responsibility to step up and become team leads and managers and directors. And now we have not a very deep structure, but with 100 people, you got to have a management, like a lower management level, and then like a director level, and then there's me. So I manage directors and managers of certain teams on both Giftsenda side, and also I have a strong leadership on the Giftsenda side. We have 3 managers there who manage their respective teams, and that's working well. I trust them, with my life, so they, with my money, of course, as well. So they do well, I think, and I believe we are growing together as managers, as leaders, and I couldn't do it without them. So they really are the core of that company, of those companies, both of them. Yeah.
The one question that I always ask founders is, you've been a founder, CEO, running companies for a long time now. There's always mistakes made, lessons learned, failures. What is, throughout your entrepreneurship journey, like what has been some lessons learned that you learned as an entrepreneur through failures or mistakes made? I'm sure you have like thousands of examples, but like at a high level, what did you learn as an entrepreneur that you can share with other entrepreneurs who are just getting started?
Sure. I think one big learning is not being afraid to scale when you see the light, a small light, like at the end of the tunnel. Oftentimes we are careful naturally because some of us are more risky than others, and I think I was certainly more on a risk averse side myself. But if I've followed my instinct and been more brave early on, I think I would have scaled faster. When I've seen the light, I was still somewhat shy about scaling. Another thing is, trusting people is a big thing. I mean, I think it took me some time to fire myself from a job that I was doing and get myself hired for another job that I was doing. And it took longer than I wish it did. But today I'm much quicker with firing myself from one thing and hiring into another if there is one. But generally, hiring other people to do my job is not easy. It was not easy for me because initially you think, well, you've done it so well, nobody can do it better than you can. But then eventually you find people who aren't better, but now every one of them is better than me and all the things that they're doing. And I think it took me some time to really believe that early on. Today I know that as a true fact, and I've repeated many times. And not only me, but my managers sometimes repeated that as well when they went and left their jobs and got promoted, and then got promoted again. Perhaps they had to go through the same process of letting go and firing themselves from a previous job they had. And I think that takes an effort and a mental belief in also a spiritual belief that someone's going to do eventually better than you have. And that's not always comfortable, right? So
definitely that's kind of the control, right? The control freak.
Letting control go is tough for entrepreneur, I think. But not only for entrepreneur, even for managers, for leaders who have done certain things for a certain number of years, so many years, and then like all of a sudden they said, well, I gotta move on, I gotta do something else. And entrusting to someone else, especially in the beginning, it feels pretty weird. It doesn't always feel comfortable.
Definitely. Now we're going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions and you have to answer them maybe in a word or a sentence or so. So one book recommendation for entrepreneurs and why?
Definitely Delivering Happiness by
Tony Hsieh.
by the founder of the famous Zappos brand. He's no longer with us, but he had a great message to deliver about the culture, about the strong team, and about the trials and tribulations of the brand and how they evolved as a team and as a company. A lot to learn from Tony. So I love that book, and we've used it as a Bible for our company, at least in the early stages when we were developing and growing the team. So I would highly recommend that book, Delivering Happiness.
An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
Innovative that we use. Well, I mean, ChatGPT certainly everyone talks about that nowadays, right? I'm not an exception. We use it in many places in the company and to empower ourselves, to make ourselves more productive in our day-to-day, but also to help our customers. For example, we have recently developed a prototype of a greeting card generator tool that allows you to put in a couple of basic pieces of information for your recipient. Let's say you have a friend or a family member in India and you want to send a greeting card without even sending a basket. You just want to come up with something creative. And let's say you don't care to do it yourself. For some reason, you don't really have a vibe right now to get something very creative done, and you just want to get some help, right? So you put in their name, maybe what they love, what kind of food they like, or maybe what movies they love, and whatever. Just a couple things, maybe personal, maybe generic. And then you press a button in the style you want, the poem, the prose, or whatever. And this thing does it for you. So we have this tool that we've developed that allows customers to, not only customers, anybody actually, to go in and try it. So and then they can use it themselves directly in the email, or they can send a gift with us and put that card into the box when the time comes. So
awesome. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
Well, we'll like project management tools, and I think the combination of Asana and Google Spreadsheets work very well for us.
Okay.
Yeah, we like Asana because it helps organize projects into subtasks. But as far as like sub items within it, I think sometimes the Google Spreadsheets is good. It's nothing very innovative. Lately, it's been around for a while, but I think there's a lot more in it that a lot of people don't leverage, and I think they can. Not only around forms, but different scripts and actions you can integrate and call back and so on. So there's a lot of things that it's very powerful stuff. Google Spreadsheets, yeah. And I think even the Google Spreadsheet itself could become, if you design it well, you can make a project management system out of it if you customize it well. So I really love it, and we use it across the company a lot in many places. So nothing super new, but just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
Awesome. Final question: best business advice you ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
I think the advice to focus is a very important one for me, because I'm naturally not a very focused person. So if someone tells me to focus and to find a niche and really kind of go deep in it, as opposed to sort of going wide, it's kind of funny to hear from me, because we are worldwide, global, but we are niche in a way because we are going for a very certain kind of customer, very focused in who we are looking for. And I think we continue focusing. So the big advice came early on from the book by Seth Godin, who've written a book, Small is the New Big. That's the book. And the idea is pretty simple. if you're a small business or you're just starting out, a medium business, if you're not a conglomerate, basically you have that issue of resources. You never have enough money, never have enough people, never have enough time. So how do you get all of that? And how do you compete with big brands? How do you do that? Well, you got to find a small niche and focus on that niche and do it so well that the big guys can't. They can't compete with you. That's how you compete. You compete with them on a small scale, and then you penetrate, you go a little bit wider. But the idea is you stay focused. And that's in many places has been our success metrics. We've done well in certain focused areas. We've not done well in certain other areas. But as long as we keep focusing most of our attention on those that we care about, we're going to keep succeeding. So that's the advice I would pass on to other people, to focus on small thing and do it really, really well, better than big guys.
Definitely. And a lot of the founders that I interview on my podcast, they have done exactly that, really just focused on a certain very narrow niche and really become the best in that and found success through that. Well, Dmitry, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're probably very, very, very busy, and so I really appreciate you taking an hour of your time and answering some of my questions, sharing your story and also business advice. So thank you so much again, and wish you all the best in your business.
Thank you, Sushant, and good luck with the podcast. And I'm looking forward to being on the listening side as well.
Definitely. Thank you so much.